Welcome back to the DCS AH-64D. We previously covered everything you needed to get up to speed with George as of April 2026. But today's video will assume you've seen the last video, so be sure to check that out first, as we'll be using the control bindings and building on those skills in today's Advanced Addendum. Link is in the description. We're going to cover the last few things included as part of George's CPG functionalities. Let's begin. In the past, cold starts required the player to switch to the front seat to power the TADs and bore sight the CPG's helmet display unit. George can now action these, as well as powering up an equipped FCR, speeding up the startup process. To do so, first bring up the George UI by hitting George AI Show Hide. Turn the master ignition switch on the left power level quadrant to battery, open the APU push button cover and start the APU. No power in the George Multi section of the UI will then change to Ready Systems. Now, long press George Multi. George will now complete his startup tasks, and you can continue your process in the backseat.
TADS is coming on.
Easy peasy.
Startup complete.
A PFC, or Priority Fire Zone, is a designated area of which targets are expected to be engaged from a battle position. When operating as a group, PFCs can be assigned to wingmen to distribute and optimize target engagement. Any targets detected by the FCR within a PFC will be prioritized. Likewise, George can engage targets inside of any ownership PFC or active PFC selected on the TSD page. To do so, we can access various modes of area search whilst in the no weapon page, with George long pressed left. We can then scroll down and see Own PFC and Active PFC. Normally, Own PFC and Active PFC would be greyed out. Since we've drawn a set ahead here at waypoint 2, these are presented as solid. Priority Fire Zone 3 is set as the Active PFC. For Own PFC, George will slew the TADs to the Ownership assigned PFZ on George Multi-Long, and will continuously search for targets within its geographical boundaries.
Aircraft's armed.
If detected, he will then call out any targets and rank by threat priority. With the AI interface hidden, he will only announce the targets. Active PFZ blends the utility of Own PFZ and FCR targets by slaving the TADs to the activated PFZ and generating a target list based upon FCR target data. This data can be from our own FCR scan or via radio frequency handover. Much like FCR target modes, when George Multi-Long is pressed, George enables the C-scope and attempts an identification of FCR targets, this time within the geographical boundaries of the PFZ.
Aircraft's armed. No inner visibility on target. No inner visibility on target.
The next set of tips were provided by Raptor from Eagle Dynamics. These were included in the pinned comment on the last video. Raptor is a consultant at ED and can be regularly found at their official Discord. By default, disengaging George from tracking and engaging a target with George short press down will set the master arm to safe. This can be troublesome when the pilot then actions a weapon in the backseat and intends to engage himself. To avoid this, manually set the arm safe switch to arm during pre-combat checks, and he will leave this alone.
Roger. Slaving. I'm deslaved. Roger. Ceasefire.
If George is not already lasing a target, pressing George AI TAD store target will briefly fire the laser to store the target location. This is particularly useful as it allows the command to be used whilst George has actioned a weapon that is not actively lasing, such as firing missiles in low al. Furthermore, pressing George AI TAD store target whilst the target list is displayed allows multiple targets to be stored in rapid succession,
Target is stored.
without tracking each individual target.
Target is stored.
When using point search function, keep in mind that George ranks targets by proximity to the selected TSD point, rather than by threat priority. This allows us to rapidly reacquire a target, whether stored by the CPG or received via data link. After commanding George to slave to a TSD point using the point search function, you can leave George slave to the point
And slaving.
and use various TADS commands to perform recon of that location. Furthermore, you
Slaving.
could command George to action rockets, enter co-op mode, and employ unguided rockets from behind cover with indirect fire mode. We're now a hovering MLRS battery.
DWASD.
Since George Multi does not require the AI interface to be displayed to function, you can quickly command George to perform specific tasks under the right conditions. For example, we've just found a target with the FCR. By linking the TADs to the FCR, you can then press George Multi short and he will take control of the TADs and perform a search around the FCR next to shoot target. If he locates anything, he'll automatically display a target list and rank the target that is closest to the classification of the FCR NTS at the top. All remaining targets will then be ranked by geographic proximity regardless of threat priority. So there you have it. This wraps up the George CPG Addendum and should give you everything you need to know to employ him on the battlefield with full potential. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Really helps with the algorithm, and this will get this out to other people, helping them out too. Cheers.